Hi everybody, in this last video, I want to show you about copying templates. So you can see that for the Tibetan grill, this is a different file that's open. This is the file EX5-2. We have the documentation page, you have the franchise number page, and you have your terms and definitions page. So here, assuming that maybe there's different franchises, again, we said there were different region locations and things, they have a template page. Or a basic kind of workbook that's already been established. And you can see that there's formulas that are already in here as well. So it's sort of been set up so that everybody can fill it in and have the same formatting and things like that. So it's often helpful to have a template saved as well so that you can reuse that same style over and over again. And it makes it very easy for people to fill in information and have things kind of already calculated for them. So what's happened here is so someone already set this up. So somebody who would be good at Excel, who's good at formulas, who knows what the data should be producing is going to set up the template. So notice how it looks very similar to our other data that we've seen today or in these videos, right? You have the sales, food and beverage, costs of goods, etc. So it has that same kind of formatting we've seen. On the right here, you have information about the franchise, and then they have instructions here. So enter your contact information on the document page, enter your franchise information, etc. So they've set up an initial Excel file so that the company can then use it and send it out. And this is helpful, again, for people who are not as savvy with Excel, who are not going to be able to do these calculations by themselves, but they can fill in a table, right? So they can put in their own data and have everything calculated for them. So somebody who knows what they're doing has to do this sheet first. So you can see that you have that kind of basic formula set up here for percent sales and so on down the line. So what we're going to do, once you have the Excel file created, we're going to save it as a template. So we go to File, and we go to Save As, and I got to move my Zoom. Hang on, guys. And you can rename this whatever you like. So I'm going to just name this template, for instance. And you want to make sure, instead of saving it as a workbook, you're going to go down here and save it as a template instead. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save it just as a regular Excel template. And you'll see that the notation does change here. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And you can decide where you want to save it. So you can browse around on your computer and then make sure you go ahead and save that. Now I'm going to close this for a second. You can see that it changed. So I saved it with a new name. I'm going to close this file. And I'm going to go into my files. And there is my template file. And you can see if you hover over it, it does say that it's saved as a Microsoft Excel template. Now, when I double click and open it, notice what happens is it renamed it as template 1. So this is really interesting because when I reopen it new each time, right, if I were to send this to somebody else, for instance, it's not going to edit my original template. It creates a new one, and then I can save as again and call this, franchise 1 or franchise 2 and rename it. But watch what happens. So let's fill in some information here. So let's pretend I'm one of the franchisee owners and I get this template and I'm asked to fill in my food sales and my beverage sales and so on. So let's say our food sales were 820,000 and our beverage sales were 210,000 for a particular period. Well, you can see that I'm filling in my data and all the formulas are pre-plugged in, right? So I think it was Gail who did this. That was the name in the text. So Gail did all the work ahead of time for me, right? So I'm just the franchise owner. I don't know how to do all this stuff. I'm just going to plug in my information. So she set it up ahead of time and can send out that template now where all I have to do is just fill in my information for the month or the year or however we're looking at it. And all those formulas are getting automatically added. And of course, I can change things, right? I can go to my documentation sheet, fill in my own information. She has instructions for me here, how to change the sheet names, fill in my information, right? She says, don't enter anything into these cells. So, she's giving good instructions here. They'll be calculated for you, etc. And then when I'm done doing this, of course, I can go in and then I can save this as a new file. So I'm not going to save it as a template anymore. I'm going to go in and, save this as don't call it template one, maybe I call it, franchise one, or Reciprol's franchise, whatever you want to call it. And of course you would rename and save that document as well. So this idea of templates is super helpful. And I will tell you a real world story of this. I have a very good friend who actually works in healthcare, but she's not a nurse or anything. She works on the administrative side. So she has had jobs in the past working for health insurance companies, other companies that help to send home health aides into different residences' houses and things like that. So she's always done healthcare, but on the back end. She's not a nurse or anything like that. She's always administration. So they had to figure out, they wanted to do a on-site COVID or flu vaccine day for their employees, right? So she had to figure out the potential cost of that, and had to do it by taking into account potentially how many employees were going to attend, how big the space was, how many nurses they would need to hire. And that would all change depending on if only 10% of employees came, if 50% came, if 70% came. She'd need different spaces and different amount of nurses to administer vaccines and things like that. So she sort of drew up 3 different scenarios for her company about, okay, this would be our cost. This is how much space we need based on how many people we think will attend, and present her information. And she did that. And after the fact, her boss came to her and said, can I have all your Excel files? Because the rest of our employees don't know how to do this. So he had asked if he could use her Excel templates to share with the rest of the company, those who needed it, because the other employees really couldn't figure out how to calculate that information on their own, so that those at different offices or different branches could use that same template and then again try to predict what the costs were going to be for their vaccine clinic for the day or something like that. So it's just a fun story where you never know if you're good at Excel and you have a really good template. You never know when it's going to be used. There are a lot of people that struggle with Excel, and we all do at some point. Everybody makes mistakes, and it takes some time to learn new functions. But when you get that, you really do become valuable. And like, she was just doing it for herself and was asked, can they have her template? So that's something that her boss remembers, that she is good at this and it can do this when other people can't, right? So you never know when this is going to be helpful. Her job is not Excel at all, but because she's pretty good at it, it makes her look good at her company as well, and she's able to share her templates with others on her team or others at other locations of the same company, different offices and things like that. So just a little tip that actually, creating some of these templates and workbooks can be really helpful, not only to yourself personally, but at your company as well. So it doesn't hurt to get good at them.